Hello everybody and welcome back to BMRL Network, and we are live here tonight once again from Darlington Raceway. It's going to be in the truck series here tonight. It is 177 miles of distance and 130 laps. So we're going to see these trucks go around the circuit as we are having a look at the track. That is what the drivers are going to have to drive around for tonight, and have a look at it. So the 130 lap for the 130 laps, it's going to be three stages as always. It's going to be 35 laps, lap 35, lap 70, and then lap 130. That's going to be from lap 70 to 130, the final one. We have the grid set up. It's going to be Chris Cornett ahead of everyone. And then right behind will be Austin Hund ahead of Donald Ray. Then comes Rob Denton, William, Corey Sibley in 6th place. Chris Flips in 7th. Then it's Stephen Shaw in 8th. Chris Mayo in 9th. Sean Cross in 10th. Gerald Privol in 11th. And Champ in 12th. So those were the cars then that we had pretty much complete the qualifying in a way that we could see inside the top 12 and see if there were any cars, but at least 12 of them were out there on the grid and have set up for us to get going. So let me repeat the stages for you once again. It's going to be first one from lap 1 to lap 35, then it's going to be probably restarting at lap 40. We'll go to lap 70. Then again from 75 to 130. It's going to be 35, 70, and 130. And this should be amazing. So looking at this, I'm in Kyle Peacock, the man that won two previous races at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway. Doesn't seem to be in here, not inside that top 12. We'll see. So will it be a big chance for Chris Cornett, who starts ahead of everyone tonight? And it'll be a big chance for him to return to the top step one more time. He last won in the Truck Series at Daytona, the season opener. And after that, this is his time. This is his time to get back on the top step. And I think Austin Hund, after having a good Cup Series race last time around, he would want some good results in the Truck Series as well. So we should be having somewhat of very good fightings out in the circuit, which we have been having for throughout the season, and that has been nothing short of entertainment, especially in the Truck Series. The drivers enjoy it. I'm sure all of you watching enjoy it as well as it gets us going. Meanwhile, the pace car now, the lights are off. It should be coming off any time soon. Into the pits it's going to come. Going to let us do what we do best. It's going to be Chris Cornett ahead of everyone, just moving left or right. It does generate some temperature. Meanwhile, they're now just about to go green. Let's have a look at this. It's going to be Chris Cornett and Austin Hund starting. We don't have the overlays yet. I'm hoping that they'll be back in a bit, but let's have a look at this. And there we go. They're on as we get going. It's going to be Chris Cornett and Austin Hund with green, and going into turn 1, it's going to be Austin Hund. And now that's going to be Austin Hund get challenged by Donald Ray. He's going to try and challenge him, but not quite in now. And Chris Cornett just moved up ahead. He was ahead, but Austin Hund has moved right behind him. They're going all single file at this point in time. The drafting wasn't as effective as any of the track last night we saw in the Xfinity Series. So we'll see what these drivers can do on raw speed and raw pace against one another at this point in time. As it stands, they've done it well. We saw a bit of position switching at the back of the grid, and there's a wreck already before we even get going. That's going to be problems for cars, and one of them going on their own into the wall. We just got started, and there is drivers hitting the wall. So there is more than 12 drivers out there that we saw in that top 12 starting grid. But let's have a look at this. So what happened exactly? It was, okay, so that was Gerald at 99. That was completely on Gerald out there. He simply lost the car, then just trying to save it up, go back to the outside. That sees him, and then the 83 came behind. He simply on his own went into the wall on the inside. That was not what you would want, but he's got in on his own. I don't think there is a caution at this moment in time, but let's have a look at this. Okay, there is a caution actually. We thought it showed green for a little bit, but it is a caution, of course. So that's going to be the pace car coming in, and that was Sean Cross on his own last night he had a pretty forgetful race as well, retired out of it quite early on, and now he has his car in the wall as well. So first caution has came out before we could even complete a lap at this point in time. Just about one lap, and the caution is out one more time. Drivers, maybe some of those who want to pick up some more fuel, but I don't think at this point in time anybody would want to be, as it's just the start of the race, except for the ones who would want some repairs to their cars. Stephen Hines should be in P11, and we've seen all these drivers moving around on the overlay upwards and seeing where they are. It's Chris Cornell ahead of Austin Hunt, ahead of Donald Ray. Then comes one of the other cars right behind us. We have their names on we can pronounce, but let's see. I think it's been interesting to just get a good start, and then it's going to be Rob Denton in P2. Then comes Phillips in that number 6 car. Then it'll be Corey Sibley in that 999. Then Stephen Shaw, and the rest of them follow as well. But we'll see what it's going to be. And drivers are coming pit road. Driver are coming straight into the pit lane and get themselves maybe the extra fuel that they want. It's almost the back of the grid drivers, the one that's the back, but they might as well take a risk if they are at the back. And that explains what they are doing at the moment. Dustin Bloodworth in that car number 4 as well. We just seeing all of those drivers getting into pit road, and the race on the exit of the pit lane could well be interesting. Maybe if they did pick up some kind of a damage to try and repair it and get some extra fuel, if they just want to save on time and get probably as we say, a free pit stop, which they probably would get back up to the pace car once again before the caution goes off. So this is a very good opportunity for everyone to pit and get back out on, but the leaders have stayed on as they are. Jared Crowell out there, as you've seen him behind a car out there and just on board with him at this point in time from that cockpit view. They're just in that passenger seat again in Jared Crowell's car. Let's have a look at this. They're looking at this replay at this point in time. Let's see what happened here. Is this the incident that happened out there? Caused the yellow, and let's have a look at that. That was exactly, they went wide, and then when he tried to rejoin, he was going to touch it there. Let's look at it. Still going, but he doesn't get closer to anyone at this point now. So this is the incident. This is the point where the incident happened. He, yeah, pretty much, he didn't came back on the circuit. He was just trying to get the car back in control. He was still moving the steering left or right to get the end of it. And before he could do it, he bumped into one of the cars right behind. That's then Chris Cornett ahead of everyone. Right behind him is going to be Austin Hund. Donald Ray in that number 19 tonight. Rob Denton. Then comes Phillips. Then comes Corey Sibley and Stephen Shaw. Let's have a look at this now. One more time. We go green here at Darlington Raceway. Chris Cornett leads ahead of everyone. Your Daytona winner is now going to try and do it once again here at Darlington. Lap 5 laps have already passed. We're going to move into the 6th one. And Chris Cornell, look at that. He moved to the outside immediately to try and defend from Austin Hund. He kind of had a bit of a better start as well on that restart, and had the chance of getting a better start, the restart than him. Some of those moving on the left, some of those on the right. Meanwhile, we can see the 000 of Shaw right ahead of Corey Sibley, who's going to be coming out on top. Meanwhile, the 999 is ahead of him already, and there's going to be another wreck as the 23 00 goes into the 23 and into the 3. Then that is going to be problems. That looked like the 73. There's not 23, but he was stopped in the middle of the track at this point in time. He slowed down, and there is already a caution number 2 before we could get onto lap number 2 under the green flags. Stephen Shaw bumps into the back of Prevo. That should be the 73 car. He's already a lap down, but that's going to see him get down one more time. I think that's not going to progress or do any good to his race, but the rest of the drivers. So let's see what's happening there. So Prevo, that was poor judgment from him. He was on the outside. He was away from cars. Not sure. He was just letting those runners let by. So when he probably came back on the circuit on that line, he just simply obviously had faster cars behind him. They were going to bump into him no matter what. He could have just checked his mirrors a little bit better, and I think that has to be the case. Now all the others have to pay the consequences as well. It'll depend if he comes into the pits to try and repair, but as it stands, so as it looks like, maybe he would have lost the car, because it would be nice to see what happened out there, to go on board with him, to go in that cockpit to see where his steering is. But the way it felt like he was sliding his way back onto with the cars in between, but just obviously it was never going to be enough. Let's have a look at this now. So we are on with him, and okay, kind of looks in control, not enough, not already, but it felt like he was just still there. He was not trying, he was just letting the car go where it was going, and then obviously the track doesn't let it go too smooth. And then now along with himself, the ones that bumped into him would be interesting. So some of those drivers, Adam Gardner into the pits this time around. Some of those we saw earlier on pitting once again. Stephen Hines, and then the number 20 into the pits as well. Some of those drivers maybe just coming in, but once again getting any extra requirement they can to just fill it up under the pace car and get back on racing when we go green. We're yet to see many green laps, but let's see. I'm sure when we do, the action's going to be packed, and already it has been packed with some amazing racing out there, and it's going to be followed up by some great racing. But let's have a look at it. Chris Cornett ahead of Austin Hund, ahead of Donald Ray, and the rest of the grid follows with Phillips in that 6th car, Denton in P5 in that number 2 car, Corey Sibley in 6th, Chris Mayo in 7th, and number 7 car, Champ in number 8th, and then William Gay in 11th, Stephen Hines in 12th, and the rest of them follow as well. It's going to be Prevo and Preval in the pits. Meanwhile, it could be with somebody around the other people as well, but these are the ones. These are the ones we're out there, and I think it was obviously 73 of Jamie Prevo that caused that incident, and I think sure the one behind him would not be happy as well. He just had them bump into him. And let's have a look at that. Sean Cross earlier on the previous and that first caution here in this first stage. We're already having great action. So Sean Cross bumped into the wall on the inside by himself. He was simply driving but just lost it. Obviously some drivers finding it hard than one or the other, but the pace car driver has found it hard to drive out here. He's got to be out there more times than these trucks have got to race around the circuit. But let's have a look at this. It should be going in this time around, and we are going to get green one more time. And have a look at this. Will the leaders be able to defend? Chris Cornett will have to do and get going one more time under the green flags for the 3rd time in this race, and he's been able to defend it twice. Will he be able to do it 3 times in a row? Meanwhile, we are in the cockpit of Chris Mayo in that number 7 car, just right behind Corey Sibley and Rob Denton out there. Phillips out there, and we're going to see what the best he's able to do. Meanwhile, Corey Sibley moves up the order. There's going to be making place as Chris moves up to the outside and tries to find his way in between one of the 2 lanes. But as it stands, it's going to be single file between the leaders. We're already on lap 2 out of 30, which is going to end the 35, which is going to end this first stage. But as it stands, the leaders are, the top 3 are, as it stands, Chris Cornett, Austin Hund, Donald Ray, Phillips, Corey Sibley, Rob Denton, and right behind them is Chris Mayo, the number 7 car. We're all at it, lap 13, and I think it's still get going. They would just be getting better a little bit. They would just be getting into the rhythm now, as they earlier on didn't get to do many racing laps out there, and this time around, now they're having to do so. So let's have a look at this, how they're all going to take it at this point in time. And I think now, as it stands, Phillips might be making a move. Meanwhile, Chris hits the wall on the outside, and that's going to be big damage. If not, that's going to be damage to his time and race and position in a little while, because he hit that wall on the outside, and a little tap is going to bring Austin Hund very closer to him, unless he could do some extraordinary performance to defend and not let him get past. But it would have been interesting, and I think he hit that wall. And as I was about to say, that Phillips looked for a move on Donald Ray. Meanwhile, now Ray looks on the move for Austin Hund. it was Chris Cornett hitting the wall, but Austin Hunt seems to be losing out a little at this point in time. Maybe just a little slower, or Chris hitting that wall that got him a little bit weird, that got him get a little bit alert as well. Meanwhile, these two cars, it was 24 and one another right behind him. These guys are going to fight each other off. We're going to have a look at this, and that's going to be 56 of Adam Gardiner get through on the 24, and that's going to be position for Adam Gardiner. Move up into somewhat, that's going to be in 9th place. He just gets ahead of Todd Champ and moves himself up into 9th place, and that top 9 sees Adam Gardiner for the first time. Let's have a look at it. Can he move forward? Can any of the drivers inside that top 5 get ahead, change their positions? As it stands, it's not quite easy, and that is pure visible. The drafting, the slipstream that we call, isn't quite visible in this, and not how everyone, or at least these drivers, would have wanted. But this move could well be interesting. This could well be happening. Meanwhile, Corey Sibley could well be moving to the inside very quickly, but that doesn't happen though. He's got Rob Dente, he's got Phillips ahead of him as he goes to the inside, and he's going to overtake him by a lot. And that might have been, that is not Phillips, then that was some of the other cars that was getting out of the way or what, because they were closer to each other than there was a car on the outside, but that had to get past. And now Chris Mayer finds it hard to try and defend from Stephen Hyans. Chris Mayer has fallen massively flat from the leaders, from the top 6, top 5 cars since the restart. And it hasn't quite been the best for him. Meanwhile, we're going to see these cars go around, and that's going to be Chris Mayo taking contact with the wall on the outside. We just saw somewhat of flames, we shall say, not flames, but just a bit of a glimpse of what Chris hits in that wall, and that sees him lose that position. Stephen Hyans moves up a place and into P7. Now he's going to start his job to try and catch up to Rob Denton. He could well be far away. So Sibley has overtaken Rob Denton. It wasn't a lapped car. Rob Denton has got lost out the position, and it's now Sibley's time to try and attack Phillips and get ahead of him as well. The 999 running, in his own words, he's running a car, similar livery that his grandpa ran on one of the cars, the 999 with the 999 number, and that same color that he's running on this truck tonight. Sure to give that little go back in memory lane and run it once again. Years after first it happened for them, and now it's once again just 10 laps to go. As it stands, Chris Cornett stands tall to be winning the first stage and ahead of everyone, but this move could be coming up anytime soon between Chris Phillips and Corey Sibley. The two are going to be on their way to try and attack each other. Meanwhile, Austin Hunt has fallen quite behind. So has Donald Ray fallen a little bit behind as well. I think it's been interesting to see but what they can do at this point in time. Meanwhile, there could be a core. Oh, that was very close then. That might have been Gerald Pruell, but he would have had to let these cars get past in that green car, but they almost touched, and that's now gonna force Corey Sibley to lose out the position to Rob Denton. Meanwhile, that truck being in between has worked wonders for one, but disaster for the other. And it's made him fall behind. Meanwhile, Austin Hunt is going closer. Chris Cornett, we saw hit the wall on the outside a few times earlier. Might have done it this time around as well, because these walls come fast at you. They don't give you enough time. And as it stands, almost 1.8 tenths quicker is Austin Hunt on the previous lap. We'll see what he's able to do. He's nearly quicker than Chris Cornett in the previous 5 laps. Only 2 of them Chris Cornett has been quicker, and the last 2 it's been Austin Hunt, and he's catching him by corner to corner every single mile they're going forward. Austin Hunt is getting closer to Chris Cornett, so when there comes an opportunity to overtake, he's sure gonna go for it. At this point in time, he's just observing him, he's just staying right behind him, do not give anything but when it's needed, when it's necessary to do so. Not doing an unnecessary dive or do something that's going to bring both of them down or into the wall. And that was Chris. Might have just left the wall on the outside again, trying to move away from the wall, but Austin got closer as well. With just 6 laps to go to the end of this first stage. It's not 6 laps, in fact, it will be 10 laps now. My bad, that should be, it was going to be lap 35 the first stage. So we'll see how this goes though. 10 laps to go to the end of this first stage. Will it be Austin Hund or will it be Chris Cornett? We will see. And that is very closer. Austin Hund getting closer one lap after lap to get himself up into the first place and get a stage 1 win. But as it stands, it's uncertain who's going to get it. Austin Hunt as closer as he's ever been to Chris Cornett in this race so far. Could well be a move coming up. Austin moves to the outside. Let's have a look at this. We are facing these guys in on. But then Chris Cornett moves to the outside as well. At this moment in time, there is somewhat defending going on by Austin Hund. But let's see. Oh, sorry, not for Austin Hund. He's on the attack and trying to get ahead of the 87 of Chris Cornett, who at the moment is trying all he can to not give up this position. He wants this victory. He lost one at Daytona, and there has been many winners after that. That he would sure want to be coming back and get back on that top step. But then Austin Hund, who's always shown speed, shown promise, in the end it hasn't quite been enough for him. He always finds it hard to not quite get it enough at that point in time. And let's have a look at this. Chris Cornett winning the first one at Daytona, then it was Kevin Winter and Kyle Peacock then won 2 at Las Vegas and Charlotte Motor Speedway. The last 2 races we've had, Austin Hund might be through on Chris Cornett, and he will be through on the low line. He followed low to high to low and gets him through in the first place, and Chris Cornett must have saw that coming. Oh, that is it, what happened, and that then he's gonna grab it with both hands. Just a little tap on the wall on the outside, and Austin Hund gets through on him as soon as he finds somewhat space. He was very closer to get used to it, and now Robert Denton and Phillips might touch, and they indeed have touched out there. Robert Denton now moved up. He seems to be ahead of everyone else. The three out there. Corey Sibley, Robert Denton, and Phillips out there, and I think at this point in time as it stands, Robert Denton in the 4th place and Corey Sibley in 5th is going to try and overtake him because of a lapped car earlier on. They lost that position, and now that problem with it, with Phillips, that contact is not going to help him at all. Adam Gardner, meanwhile, right behind Stephen Hines at this point in time. Hines, we saw do a good job in the previous races, is on the grind here at this point in time in that number 6 car, in that number 20 car in B6 at this point in time. Meanwhile, Corey Sibley is getting closer to Robert Denton one more time. He's got the chance to achieve a very high result at this point in time, and at the end of the before the end of this first stage. We're only about 4 laps to go to the end, and this is gonna be somewhat of an interesting thing to see. Will Corey Sibley be able to overtake, and will the 999 number be able to give him the boost that he would need at this point in time? Or will the lucky stripe of Robert Denton be lucky enough that gets him this 4th place? Obviously it won't be luck, more than would be the hard work, but sometimes as it follows, so you need that little bit of a luck as well. And we will see though, with only about 3 laps to go, including this one, after this one I shall say, and we'll see who is it gonna be that gets on to be winning this first stage. Austin Hund looks to be clear ahead of everyone, and meanwhile Stephen Shaw, he at one point looked between the leaders, ahead of the leaders, is falling up, and now Chris Cornett is falling up. He might just lose out the position on Donald Gray right behind Chris Cornett. The qualifying speed has been there, but in the race he's found the mistakes. He's found the wall on the outside and hasn't been quite enough. And I was just talking about Stephen Shaw, who was almost with the leaders earlier on, but that wreck with that 73 has found it very hard. And the way he let the Austin Hund by, almost felt like he was going to have an incident as well. Because that was gross. That was very close between all of these drivers. And we'll see though, we'll just about a lap to go. So caution is going to be at the end of lap 35. And we'll see though, because as it stands, Austin Hund looks on his way to win the first stage here in the Truck Series here at Darlington. He achieved a good result in one of the previous series races here at BMRL, and I think he's going to go for it. He wants this because As I said earlier on, he's shown the speed, he's shown the promise, but every time something happens and he falls back. Meanwhile, Adam Gardiner, the driver who was on the grind, is ahead, or maybe Corey simply has lost positions at this point in time. But no, as it stands, Stephen Hines might they gain a position on Corey Sibley. Meanwhile, Adam Gardiner touches that wall on the outside a little bit, tries to switch to the inside, moving around. He has to now defend from William right behind, but then on the same time he has to try and overtake. Meanwhile, we are into lap 36, so we should be getting that caution, and Austin Hund as our winner at any time soon. We still going green though, we should be going yellow anytime soon. Not quite going at this point in time, and there it is. There comes the first caution and first stage ending at lap 35. So that is going to see us have our stage 1 winner, Austin Hund. Can we have the dominance of Donald Ray the way he dominated in the Cup Series previous time around? Or will we have the dominance of pace cars out? We're going to see the drivers do the laps around and really get going at this point in time. Maybe box and pit everything they need, pit if they want, but will it be enough? So let's have a look at this. I think they're really gonna try and get on, just go around behind the pace car at this point in time and get going. So yeah, I was just talking about the dominance of Donald Ray in that Cup Series and then the previous race that we had at him. He'd won all 3 stages. Meanwhile, in the Xfinity Series last night, Dakota Ramsdale, I believe, yes, he won. It's not updated, but he won 2 races in a row. As every driver now comes into pit road, get some fuel in the car to get them to the end of the second stage. And maybe tires. I don't think they will be taking any tires at the end of lap 35, but if they do need. So we're just going to catch a short break, and we will be back on when it's green one more time.
It's because you didn't pit the first time around.
Hey, Austin, you got a sec? This is Sean Stam up in the booth.
Yes, sir, I got you.
Hey, congrats on the stage 1 win, man. That was a great pass. How did you do it? You just kind of waited for him to make a mistake, or tires play a key, or what really happened?
I just waited for him to goof up. He got the wall, and that gave me all the speed I needed.
Man, were you in the Xfinity race last night?
No, I wasn't.
I gotcha. Man, these trucks are already hard enough to drive around Darlington. I couldn't imagine Xfinity, but you're making it look pretty easy out there, pretty smooth. Keep it up, Austin. You're looking good.
Thank you, sir.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard Austin Hund, the man himself, in his own words, as he said, he got that first stage win. It's time to do it. Now 2 and then 3 in a row. And it's gonna be his time. Meanwhile, Chris Gornett is nowhere to be found inside that top 4, but maybe he's pitted on as compared to the others. As the base car is now in, Austin is going to try and have a restart against Stephen Hines, just ahead of Robert Dent, ahead of Donald Ray, ahead of Corey Sibley. They're all going to go at it one at a time, but they're going to try and do the best they can. And Donald Ray now has to defend. He's tried defending from Corey Sibley. Sure, on the outside, Corey could have had a chance to get through. And we're going to have another 35 laps to the end of this stage, and we'll see what every driver is going to be able to show us to get going and get into the green flag racing one more time. Chris Cornett at this point in time, but it might not be Chris Cornett, it might be the 24 car of champ at the back of the grid. Chris Cornett himself is still in the pits. Has he sustained any damage? We saw him hit the wall on the outside a few times. Maybe he got a few times, but this time it's going to be William on the inside line of Corey Sibley, and William is going to move himself up into one more new position, and that's going to see him get forward and get into 4th place. Corey Sibley gave it everything, tried overtaking the car ahead, couldn't quite do it, but in the end he couldn't quite defend his own position as well, and that's just going to see him fall a position down. And now there's going to be William. Well, he's showing some extreme speeds out there. He's going to try and overtake Stephen Hinz as well. And there's going to be one more position for William and move himself up into 3rd place. He's in the top 3 now. Just have a look at the replay now. William, let's have a look at this. The number 75 car. He got going on Stephen Hinz. He just kept it there and went through on him. We saw him overtake Corey Sibley earlier on, but let's have a look at the one that he overtook. Overtook Stephen Hinz, and that sees him now into 3rd place. And as it stands, he might be getting closer to Donald Ray as well. Maybe William has got somewhat new tires, maybe, if he has pitted, but a little bit of more speed, more confidence that in the truck he's got, and he's getting going. He might just be overtaking William as well. He might be overtaking at the point as it stands Donald Ray as well. So as it stands, he has pitted, I believe. William has pitted as it stands, and I think everybody around him has pitted as well. But let's see, what is it going to be the case for William though? Will he be able to get going on Donald Ray? Let's have a look at this. His chance is going to be this one. He's going to try and get closer, and when comes the end of that 2nd stage, he could well be in a chance to overtake, to probably have that stage victory as well. Maybe he has that, but let's see. Before that, he needs to get past this car and then the one ahead of him as well. We're having a look at the back of Ray's truck, and Austin Hunn at this moment in time finding it hard against a 00 who's not letting him get past at all. They both get past. We know 00 now just gets out of the way of Austin Hunn. He might have stopped him for a little bit more and really did a bit of defending that would have been unnecessary stopping, but maybe trying to benefit one or the other. And actually an update from Jamie Prevost's incident that his steering, he was ranked by someone on lap 1, and then his steering was not quite good enough. His suspension might have been damaged, and then it didn't turn. That was the reason he got sent back out on the circuit like on his own, and happened what happened. Saw that one of the wrecks out there, and there we go. These laps are passing rapidly, and we'll have to see what they can do at this point in time at this race here in the Truck Series. I think the 48 laps have passed quite rapidly, but as it stands, it might not be good enough. It might not be easy for William to get past Donald Ray, because in the previous Donald Ray's victories, you have to admire that he's the best defender out there on whole of this field, in my personal opinion. We've seen a lot of drivers lose out positions, but we have always seen him defend out for his position for as long as he can. Places his car in such perfect position that just doesn't give enough way for others to get going. So Donald Ray's stage 1 winner, but that's definitely not how it ended that first stage. And there you go, now it's fixed. Donald Ray, he's got a chance to do it though in that second one. He's still a little bit away from Austin Hunn, but when it comes to time, he can do it. 25 laps to go. Let's have a look at this. what they can do on that 50 out of 130 done, and William is getting closer. He's getting closer and closer to him, lap after lap though. We'll see what happens, but he could well be coming up. Will Donald Ray's defending be enough? Will he be able to defend and live up to the words that we've just given him, that he's the good defender, but will he be able to do it this time around? And for how long though? And I think as it stands, William is trying for it, but look at that. Donald is moving all around and just getting those judgments pretty correct to try and not have any problem at all. And this time around, William might be through, but very close, almost got him on the front of his bumper, into the rear of Donald's car. Did William there? That got very close, and they have to be very, very careful, because these trucks, just a little bit of a touch, and that's going to see you and the driver ahead in the wall, because sometimes the driver behind that taps you gets up safe, but the one ahead that has been tapped finds it very, very hard. And as it stands, this is what it looks like for this race. Austin Hund, the race leader, is far, far away ahead of everyone, 1.5 seconds away from Donald Ray, and that's quite a lot of a gap in over racing, we shall say. And as it stands, so William still going at it. William still trying his 100% best. Look at how easily he get past Robert Denton, or in fact it was Corey Sibley and some of the car around there as well. But after that, he hasn't found it easy. Donald Ray hasn't let him get past. He hasn't let him get through and overtake and get himself into second place. William on that restart showed some exceptional speed, some good speed. He's still showing that speed. He's keeping up though, because look at the other cars. If he didn't have the speed, he wouldn't have been able to keep up, because Austin maybe pushing a little bit more, because remember in the Cup Series what happened to Andrew Bruce. He ran out of fuel after pushing too much, putting up a gap of a few seconds, and that saw him lose out. And let's have a look at this. So as it stands, actually in the last 5 laps, only 2 times William was quicker than Ray. But let's see what he's going to be able to do this time around. Almost a dent down, but I think there's a chance. There's a very good chance for Ray to pull away, but then also William to get through as well. As it stands, meanwhile, the leader is still on his own. Nobody able to get closer to him. And now, once again, this is going to be let's have a look at this. Austin Hund and Donald Ray. So Donald now in the previous 2 laps has been slower than Hund, though. The 3 before that, he was maybe just a little bit, but he was quicker than him. But the last 2, he's been mighty quick, over 2/10 quicker than Donald Ray has been Austin Hund, and he's showing the speed, and I think he might get the redemption for himself, the recognition that he needs for himself after showing good speed, great performances, but not converting to a win, not converting to a very good podium finish. I think this is his chance to do it this time around. Meanwhile, Stephen Hines finds it hard to try and ride down the outside, and get going out there. He moves up, and single file they go. He's trying to stay ahead of Dustin Bloodworth, but he's able to quite do it at this point in time, actually stay ahead of him, or either he overtook him and stood out there. But Bloodworth moving to the inside and going here and there, and I think we'll see what they all can do. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Stephen Hines did get past Bloodworth, and let's have a look at this. He simply passed him on the outside. Bloodworth did not move, did not do anything out there. I think in a way that was good because Eddie moved and misjudged it. They both could have been out and in a big wreck involved. But as it stands, Bloodworth might just be able to come back at him on the inside. He's got a chance, and he's not quite doing it enough at this point in time. As it stands, he's still staying out there. He's still staying where he thinks he's got to stay. Obviously, you won't think that. He would obviously want to get past and promote himself a position, and the position that he's just lost, he might be able to gain it back. Meanwhile, he's on the inside line. Is he a car ahead? No, they're still side by side. Will Stephen Hines be able to come back at him, or Bloodworth be able to move to the outside? And Hines hits the wall, and he might just get back on the inside. He does so, but on his own. Bloodworth moves far away, and Stephen Hines falls back after touching the wall. He's going to lose out the position to Chris Cornett as well. Let's have a look at that. He earlier overtook him on the outside. They were still side by side. Maybe Stephen Hines trying to give him as much space as he can, but that was a push. That was a little push from Bloodworth out there, and that's going to see Stephen Hines then touch a wall, which was no way then for him to get back on and recover nicely. He's got laps though, sure. He's still about... That's 13th. Oh, that's 13th place. So Chris Cornett might be a lap down at this point in time and not. He might have just unlapped himself, but not overtaken Stephen Hines as it stands. So he's still behind the driver he was fighting, which would be. It was the number 4 of Bloodworth. So let's have a look at it. We're on lap 62 out of 75, which is going to take us to the end of this stage. We're going to see how is this going to be happening. What is going to be happening at this point in time in this race. Lap 63 out of 130. That's going to be total, but 12 laps to the end of the second stage. Austin Hund has won that first one. Can he do it 2 in a row? He's got Donald Ray right behind him, and look at that. Ray has not let William get past. William showed somewhat speed, but Donald did not let him pass. And I think now Donald knows as you see if he's able to overtake Austin Hund. It's going to be interesting because sure, these drivers are actually going to pit. They're going to pit for the at the end of this second stage, but they will then be pitting and having a stop, having a green flag pit stop as well, which is going to be getting us the strategies, which is going to get us the strategy likings and not likings, but basically an idea of who's got it better and more good than the other, because sometimes one gets it better than the other. And Adam Gardner now trying to unlap himself against Austin Hund, but he might just prefer at this point. At this point, he's going to do so good to Donald Ray and all behind Austin Hund, because stopping, giving a little bit of a problem to Austin Hund at one point. He's going to allow the others to get closer, and Adam Gardner might just be doing this at this point in time. So it won't be enough though. But that now he does that against Donald Ray as well. But he lets him pass quite easily, actually. Not quite of a problem for him at all. He doesn't quite do it. So Austin Hund's teammate Rob Denton, Kyle Peacock, who's not here at this point in time, and I think with all the others around as well, it'll be interesting to see who's their teammates. Actually, let me get the Truck Series Roadster at this point in time. So Adam Gardner and William 75 are teammates. So maybe Adam Gardner doing all he can to get his teammates get closer to the toppers, but that wasn't enough at this point in time. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't see whose team is Donald Ray in at this point in time, but he's gonna try and get it going. As it stands, lap 66 out of 130 here at this point of the race, and lap 70 we are 69. We're going to move into lap 75. At the end of lap 75 we're going to move on. The caution at the end of the previous stage was a lap later, but we'll see what will the race control be able to do at this point in time and get the caution out as quickly as they can. The gaps have fallen away. I think sure that third stage is going to be crazy. Drivers are going to have that attack, but still, this track not quite easy, or it doesn't help much with drafting, and that is visible. With just 5 laps to go, Austin Hund looks on his way to make it 2 in a row. He would love to make it 3 in a row and get that race victory as well as his first one of the season. We will see though as it stands. Chris Cornett 10 laps down as it stands. And there is a caution. There is a caution early on, and that might just be problems out there. Let's have a look at this. Oh, yes. Okay, it is a stage end, actually. That was misjudgment by me again. It was lap 70. I thought it was going to be lap 35 and 75, but it is 70. So that is Austin Hund coming up to win 2 stages in a row. Stage 1 and 2 for him. That then is going to be win for him. So we just take a break one more time and get back on when we are green for the 3rd and final stage of this race. You go in there, but
Hey, Austin, it's Sean again up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Yeah, sorry, didn't want to interrupt your stop there. Holy
I appreciate it.
smokes, are you going to sweep Darlington today?
I hope so. That's the plan.
Man, you're looking so good out there. How's the truck feel?
Feels good as long as you keep it slow and steady. Keep it out of the wall.
And just how different are these, is like the entry to 1 compared to the entry to 3?
I mean, it's a humongous difference here for somebody that's never been here. I mean, turn 1 on fresh tires, you can pretty much full throttle it if you know the right line, and then 3 and 4, you got to jab on the brakes just to get through it.
Wow, you've never been here, and you're sitting here leading the race, almost about to sweep it. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I love this track. I've raced here quite a few times in other leagues and stuff, and this league previously. I love this track.
Well, best of luck to you, man. Keep it up in stage 3, and hopefully I'm talking to you here at the end of the race.
Thanks, sir. I hope so.
And there we go. We have stage 2 ending as well. It was stage 70 and not 75. 75 is going to be the restart. It was my misjudgment by me. But Austin Hund, you heard from him for the second time now. Will we hear from him for the third time after he wins the race? This is his chance, and I think this is his best chance that he's had so far. Winning stage 1, winning stage 2, but will he be able to hold on the challenge of Donald Ray and be able to win ahead from him at this point in time? That'll be the question to ask. So far that the race has been pretty clean. Apart from the first few wrecks, it has been pretty interesting. As the pace car now comes in, that's going to be the Austin Hund trying to restart, trying to get the better restart than everybody around. Donald Ray is going to try and attack him. He's got best chance to overtake as well. He was staying earlier, far back off, but he's got the chance. Austin Hund got through, and he's got through. Corey Sibley might get through as well. Let's have a look at it. He might not. He's trying to get into on the outside line. He does get into the outside line. Bloodworth's there. He's going to try and defend from Stephen Hines. Chris Mayo is right behind those guys in number 7 as well. That's then going to be laps after laps. Let's have a look at this. So it's going to be about 25, 30, 55 laps to the end of the race. We'll see what they can do in these remaining ones. The longest, the most they would have to drive continuously, and sure, the green flag pit stops, which are going to be interesting thing to see as well, which would make the race a bit more interesting. Meanwhile, one pit driver who's making it a little bit interesting is Chris Cornett now. He's had the more not good of a races. He lost out at the end earlier on the outside, and he might be able to do it. A second one, this time on Chris Mayo, but not enough. Chris does very good to go to the outside to defend, and has been able to do that. But let's see though, as they're about to move into lap 80, that is going to see us have about 20, 50 laps to the end, and that is going to get going. We will see in this third and final stage. This is where it all matters. Still sure, the tire management and the fuel management keeps going, but this is where it all comes down to this. As at the ending parts, the ending laps of the race, which we will see what and how is everyone going to be able to do. With all of these drivers going on, all looking at those all on that number 1 place. Especially Austin Hund himself, who's never won in the Truck Series before. Will he be able to do it tonight? I think this is his best chance that he can do it. He's got stage 1 and stage 2 win. So unless he makes a mistake of his own, nobody seems to be getting closer to him. Nobody seems to be the challenger to him. Sure, Donald Ray's there, but will it be enough for him though? Because he's been behind him for the entirety of this race, but not quite enough to overtake. Just about how Williams was behind Donald there. He was behind him, but not able to overtake. William at this moment in time currently P8 at far back of the grid, and some of those drivers laps down on one another. Well, 82 out of 130. Now it is getting closer and closer, but it's getting the cars closer and closer as well. Chris Mayo gets Chris Cornett tries to make an overtake, unstables his car, and is going to go onto the wall on the outside. Let's have a look at what happened though. Did we see contact being made between the cars? Because Chris Mayo seemed to be in his own line, but Cornett saw to be moving out there. Let's have a look at this. Oh yes, Chris Cornett has lost it on his own. They were driving side by side. They're the car right behind them, and Chris Cornett, his race is getting worse and worse. Started in first place and about to be far, far down than the rest of the field. Yeah, let's have a look at this. He's in the wall there. That is a pretty hard hit, and he's got to be doing. No, he's going to straight head into the pits. Maybe try and repair. He's got out of the car. He's gotten out of the car, so maybe we're seeing him retire and get out of this race that is anyways not quite going good for him. So just about laps remaining at this point in time. We will see what they can do. I mean, they're looking nice now. Rob Denton getting closer to Bloodworth as well. Bloodworth has been indecent, has been in the middle of the pack, not at the front, not at the last, and in between has been somewhere, and he's just behind William and ahead of Rob Denton. And this is the fight. This is the fight between Chris Mayo, Adam Gardner, and everybody around. Some of those behind as well. And when it comes the end of the race, the ending laps, the 20-25 laps to the end of this race, it could well be all interesting and all of us seeing the moves that we've been waiting to see, because they are all going to show us their aggressiveness and the aggressive side that sure they have done so far in this race, but we will see how is this all going to be shaping out. Lap 87 out of 130. Adam Gardner has been able to defend, has been able to keep himself just ahead of Chris Mayo. Chris has been showing decent speed, but will it be decent enough? So this is what happened for Chris Mayo to be scraping the wall on the outside, and got him to lose the position on Adam Gardner, and that then sees him lose out and go back further the grid. And I think Chris Mayo might well be trying to get back on, but will he have enough speed? Only time will tell at this point in time of the race. With 42 laps to the end now, it is getting closer and closer, exciting and exciting. Meanwhile, Austin Hood leads it ahead of everyone. Ahead, nobody gets closer to him. Let's have a look at this. So Donald Ray only been quicker than him on the previous lap, but Austin Hund has been quicker on the rest of those. But will those 26 hundredths of a second help Donald Ray get closer and get ahead of Austin Hund? Because Austin has done an exceptional job in the first two stages, but can he continue on and carry the legacy of those first two stage wins and get it into stage 3 and get himself a dominant performance and do a race victory that is never done here in the Truck Series? Donald Ray has never won in the Truck Series as well, but he just won in the previous race of the Cup Series, which he dominated as well by winning 3 stages all by himself. Nobody close enough to challenge him. But this time around, we're going to see now Chris Mayo losing out more positions to William Gay now. That is going to see Chris move and get back of the grid. This is what happened between Chris and William. So William simply overtook him, as simple as it gets. Chris is just trying to get and stay on the track at this point in time, but he nearly touched the wall one more time. Just doesn't quite have the speed at this point of this race, does Chris. Keeps out losing positions. Sure, he's trying his 100% best, but that doesn't quite get enough of him to be staying ahead of the others. He's number 7 in that P7, number 7 in that P7 position at this point in time as it stands, and we will see how good he's able to do. But Austin Hund, I think, deserves it of them all today. Sure, others deserve it as well, but he's done a dominant performance, and Chris is now going to lose more positions to Bloodworth and now to Rob Denton as well. He's going to just keep getting ball back and back. Maybe he hasn't got the tires, or has he not got enough fuel? Is he running out of fuel lap after lap, or something's happening that is stopping him from moving forward? That is stopping him from doing the performance that he's done so far in this race, and keeps out losing positions. And that's going to be Chris getting through on Rob Denton. Has Rob Denton let him pass? Yes, he has. He's let Chris Mayo get past and gain a position back on. Chris will be feeling a little bit better after losing so many of those positions. A little bit to cheer about for him. Meanwhile, Donald Ray is very, very close to Austin Hund, but these two still not close enough. Not enough to overtake. So definitely the fight between Chris and a few other drivers has been the fight to look at, because it's been the one we've seen position switches, but the race get interesting as well, as now after this one it is going to be just 35 laps remaining, exactly what we've done at the before, from stage 1 to 2, then from stage 2 to 3, stage 2, stage 1 to 2 to 3. We will have a look at this. So everybody around almost has pitted on similar laps then as it stands. The pit strategy, they've pit at lap 72 as it stands, but we will see how good they're all able to do. So all around they've pitted pretty much similar laps, but maybe some of those taking better tires, one or the other not doing that, and I think that shows up when the strategy, you get that strategy wrong, it ruins your race, it ruins your progress. No matter how fast and quick you are, you don't have the tire to back it off, you will fall back. And Chris Mayo now finally helps on into the pit lane, and we will see what he's able to do. Sure, those tires were not feeling good enough for him at all, that he has to pit one more time, and we're about to complete lap 100. Still about 2 laps away from it after this lap, but we will see. We've done so much of a distance at this point in time, and still got about 30 laps to go, as Chris Cornett have to get away from Austin Hund, the man who he was fighting. He was fighting for his own race win at the start of this race, but it has went all wrong for him. Meanwhile, Chris Mayo comes in, so he becomes the first one of those pitting in before the end of the race, and the green flag pit stop that these drivers always make before the end of the race and under no caution. So as it stands, this is going to be interesting. Will Chris Mayo, now just coming out of the pits, be able to defend against Chris Cornett? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be Chris versus Chris. It's going to be Mayo versus Cornett. What they can do. What can one do better than the other? So they're far away from each other on the track, I believe. It's lapped. One is lapped by the other, but they're on it. They're still fighting each other, and I think they're still going to give us maybe somewhat of an action to look at, and overtaking to look at. Which we haven't seen in a little bit on this circuit in time. So as it stands, I just looking for my phone for some point. I cannot find it. Maybe it's fallen on the floor. Okay, forget it. At this point in time, we're supposed to focus on this race, and we will be doing. Meanwhile, Adam Gardiner comes into the pits as well. He's going to give us a pit stop at this point in time as well in this race, and see us more and more drivers coming into the pits lap after lap into the pits, and obviously those green flag pit stops which see these drivers get along. And William is now very close to Stephen Hines. He might just be on his way to make a move. William just makes it look so easy so far in this race. He's looking easy to overtake, but not quite enough. And we will see what is it all going to be happening though at this point in time in this race. We will get it going. And William not able to make a move, still not close enough and to get it going. And I think we'll see, this time he might have just done it though, as we're just having that side view and they go side by side. William has done it, he gets his car ahead and gets ahead of him and places ahead of him the car to defend and to do the most that he's able to do at this point in time, and he's showing all of it, and he's doing all of it. 103 laps. We are on to 27 to go, and he's going to show us all the action and all the performance that we've seen from all of these drivers. He's got to do it one more time. 104 laps done. 130 laps to do. We have to complete So it's going to be about, we're going to get closer and closer lap after lap. And look at the gap between Austin Hund and Darlington Ray. It's 1 minute and, well, not 1 minute, but 1.4 seconds. Sorry about that. 1 minute is going to be about, don't know how many laps down, but it's 1.4 seconds about between the leaders. And now as it gets us going, 26 laps to go. Or pit stops after pit stops. It's going to be Corey Sibley, the 999 running in. He was running inside the top 5 for a little bit. Can't quite see much of him at this point in time of the race, but we will see how good he's able to do, how good he is able to give us the action at this point in time of the race. And we will see, though. Ooh, very close there, Austin Hund, trying to get ahead of a car that was lapped, and we will see. What he's going to get us going. With 24 laps to go, I mean, it's getting better, closer and closer. It's getting, I think the feeling for Austin Hund is going to be better and better at this point in time. That he's trying his best. You know, he's tried all along and he's done a very good job. He's showing the speed to get going. Meanwhile, Jamie Prevost lets Chris Mayo get past, and William now into the pits. So some of those inside the top drivers coming in the pits as well. The top 2 are still not, and I think we will have to look at of who does better than one or the other. Donald's now in. Donald Ray into the pits. We were just talking about the leaders not coming in, and the Donald Ray is now into the pits, and this is now going to be interesting. Will he be able to undercut the Austin Hund out there, because he's taking the opposite route of what Austin would be taking? They're not pitting on the same lap, so let's see who's coming up, and now Austin's coming in as well. These races can either be won or lost on pit road, as Donald's now into the pits and almost onto his pit box. Austin Hund will have to be waiting a little bit longer to pit. So before he gets in, Donald Ray might just be getting ahead of Austin Hund, but we'll see. So Donald pitted before him. He's out of the pits, but was Austin about to lap him there? That will be a nice detail to have, and that then will guarantee that Austin Hund would be clear to come out into the lead of this race when he comes out of the pits. Going to be very, very close between the two. Donald's back out on the track, and now Austin's about to do that as well. Will it be Donald, or will it be Austin Hund to be coming out into the lead? And Austin's out on the track, but will he be able to rejoin safely back on it? And yes, he's been able to do that, and he's out ahead of Donald Ray, and this is gonna be somewhat exciting and happiness for Austin Hund, because after driving such a great race, he needed this, because anything could go wrong. Just one better or one wrong move could well be your win or lost in this race so far. With just 20 laps to go, this is his chance. He can now push to the end if he's got enough fuel, and think that the tires are going to be good to have 20 laps on them. And not too much, then let's have a look at these. Ooh, that was very close, and now Stephen Hines pushing, moving on his own left or right, finding it very hard. Then he hits the wall almost, trying to drift and get the car straight up. Not able to do that, but let's have a look at that. Okay, his wheels are moving now. I thought maybe he's got somewhat damage, but what happens there then at the back of it? Donald Ray trying to get past a lap car as quickly as he can. They're all doing their part at this point in time. So let's have a look at it one more time. Ooh, so that then happened for Todd as well. He was on his own and having a spin as well. He gets to spin all of these drivers. Just sure, even that shows how hard it is to even keep it out on the circuit that the rest of them have done. And this man on your screen, Austin Hund. Big incident, and that is going to be big problems for Austin Hund, and that is going to be the disaster that he's always been part of, driving such a great race. And this time around, it was nothing to do for his own. And this is going to be big problems. And race win that he was on the way to get, he might have to wait a little bit longer. And this is going to be disaster. And I think the driver ahead, Jamie Bravo, yes, this was such a big judgment error. So Austin was on the outside. I think Jamie thought that he was going to move to the inside and let him get past, but both of them moved to the inside at the exact same time, and this is then not how he wanted it, and it's going to be big issues. So let's have a look at this. And yes, both of them just misjudged it, moved to the inside at the same time, and Austin Hun now, and honestly, any position except for that victory at this point he gets will not be making him happy, because after such a good race that he drove, it's almost similar to Donald Ray's one of the Truck Series races, where he won the first two stages, but then ended up getting second place after problems, but then had a problem and big damage as well before that race victory could be done, and that then sees him in the wall. And I think it just would be everything going on in terms of emotions for Austin Hun at that point. And I think Jamie Bravo, sure, tried to do the good, but it was wrong time, wrong place, and he would be lucky if Austin doesn't see him at some point at this point in time. Yep, Donald Ray now, this is what he would have been hoping for, and I think after such a great race, Austin Hund has to fall back one more time, and I think Jamie Prevost really not having the race. He's been involved in a few of those incidents, and he causes one another this time around, and Donald Ray back into the lead, and it could be his chance to make it two wins now. He won in the Cup Series. He could well be doing it, and it'll be a good start for him. So somebody else before took it up for him. He earlier in one of the races won the two stages and lost out in the third one, and now it could well be his chance to pretty much do the similar and maybe get that redemption on his race win. But we'll see what is Austin Hund able to do, but he might have a lot of damage and enough to really stop him from winning at this point in time, unless there happens too many incidents, but we will see. I mean, with the field this long, and Jamie Bravo and Austin Hund is out of the car, and as I said, that no other position is going to make him happy enough apart from that victory, which was in his hands and just snatched up from him after an unbelievable incident happened. So definitely that explains why he's out of the car, and he will just be furious at this point, as the game's so close, but just again not close enough to get him the victory. Now the pace car, the lights seem to be off, or are they? They're actually on, they're not off. So take a bit of a pause, and as soon as the lights off and the pace car comes in, we'll be back at it one more time. Pace car heads in to the pits now. that is going to get us going one more time racing, and hopefully for the final time to the end of this race. It's going to be 14 laps to the end of this race. It was the most traumatic incident, I shall say, for the drivers out there, for the driver that was involved in this race so far. Meanwhile, Donald Ray's chance to win, but William could be on the way, but Corey simply sends it in. Bloodworth will be in the way as well. Will he try and get ahead of the go at this time as well? He's in between those guys. The top three as expected as it gets. And it's going to be Adam Gardiner right behind him and ahead of Chris Mayo. Gardiner is going to go wide. That might allow Chris Mayo to get through. Big chance for him. Will he be able to get going? And yes, around the outside is going to be Chris. And then it's going to be Adam Gardiner. But Adam now gets through. Chris gets high from low very quickly. And he might be on the way to lose out the position from Denton as well in number 2, but we will see what is happening between the leaders then. Just Corey Sibley could well be achieving a very high result here. P2 as it stands, just right behind Donald Ray, sees him in a very strong position, and a very strong position to finish this race for him. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can all do as Corey Sibley, but he could well be in pressure from William at this point in time. Donald Ray is chilling out there. I think it will be interesting to see what can happen and what will everybody be doing at this point in time. 10 laps to go in this race, and sure, I think Donald Ray could well be comfortable winning, but the positions behind him will be there. The top 3 will be on the word, and William now almost went into the back of Corey there. Corey on the outside, William's going to get through on the inside and overtake him, but Corey is not going to be moving far behind as well. He would still be staying there, and chances of him taking those positions will be on at this point in time. Nine laps to go to the end. I think the race is now getting, we're getting closer and closer to the end of this race. It is very, very amazingly, I think we will see what everybody's going to be doing. And now we will see what and how is everyone going to be doing though. 8 laps to go in this race. Just Chris Mayo ahead of Rob Denton, ahead of the Todd Champ. Then it should be, because Chris Cornett seems to be out of his car as well, and yes, it's going to be Todd Champ at this point in time in that 24 car. He's been fair share, and Chris Mayo one more time hits that wall on the outside, and going to be the reason of him losing position. He may be just not able to judge it enough to see himself keeping him away from the walls. He hits the wall one way or the other, and that sees him get it going, and we will see. It's 6 laps to go now. The victory is coming Donald Ray's way. I mean, to say that he didn't deserve it, obviously he deserved it as much as Austin Hund, but Austin just drove a very, very good race. So did Donald. I think it's going to be very good feeling for him that probably he's going to come home to win, because this is pretty much the position, the net position that he was fighting with William, because William a few laps earlier had a bit of a fight with Donald, but wasn't able to get past him, and now just 4 to go. 4 laps to go to the end, with Donald Ray ahead of everyone. The fight for the top 3 is on. Williams seems to be in second place and nobody closer to him, just like Donald. Nobody's closer to him. So fight for that 3rd place, which currently sees Corey Sibley, the 999 truck, in there. Bloodworth right behind him. So is Adam Gardiner, number 56, right behind him as well. All of these drivers are at it and are on their way to get going and to the end of the race and achieve the best results they can. And as it stands, I believe Corey Sibley, this is going to be his highest result in the Truck Series, P3, and he will be enjoying it. These last 3 laps, everybody would just get these going and get to the end now. And I think it depends that you really, have to have the win return is it in your destiny, because how good of a race Austin was driving, it wasn't to be his. That didn't become his, and it's going to be Donald Ray at this point in time, which is 2 to go, is going to be coming up to take victory. And next time by should be the white flag, which is going to see us have Donald Ray get closer. Meanwhile, that's going to be now Bloodworth getting through on Corey Sibley. This is going to be an interesting battle to see on the final lap to go. It's going to be a battle to see, and I think Corey Sibley is going to try everything to defend his 3rd place that he's worked hard for. But just in the final moments, he has the drivers attacking him, and he might just be losing it. A 3rd place podium finish, which might not be his though, which won't be his as it stands. We're just talking about destinies, and that's what happens to Bladder too. Corey Sibley as well just loses out on it. But Donald Ray, he did not dominate the race as much as Austin Hund did, but he stayed neck and neck with him and took the chance. As soon as Austin was out, he had grabbed it with both hands, and now that comes to the end of Donald Ray winning up that first stage. Sorry, not that first stage, but that race victory. And Donald Ray is now going to add his name to the race victories here in the Truck Series as well. And that is going to be your race winner. The number 19 takes it up and ahead of everyone. Hopefully in a few moments time we'll be having a chat with the top 3 drivers as well. That marks end, and Donald doesn't do any donuts. Actually, we see a lot of drivers do donuts, but he heads straight into the pits and gets out of the car and is just going to enjoy the victory then out of the car as everybody ends. And this was the finishing order, with Donald Ray ahead of William, ahead of Bloodworth, ahead of Corey Sibley in 4th place, nearly at that podium. Adam Gardiner doing a very good job in 5th place. Chris Mayo in 6th place. Denton in 2nd place. Then Prevo as it stands. So Hines, Hund, and all of those maybe did not finish. There is no light on their name. Prevo, then it says still finishing. He still finished 12 lap in P12. Many laps down, but maybe didn't get out of the car after getting involved in the incident still. Okay. He's in the waiting room. Can you pull him?
I got you, buddy.
Holy smokes, what a finish. What a finish to the end of this race. Man, we saw that the pit cycle kind of take place there a little bit, but unfortunately for the guy who led the whole race, you came up on the end. How did it look from your point of view?
Yeah, I missed pit road on that last sequence there and had to come back around, so I pretty much gave the win to Austin. It's unfortunate for him what happened. It was his race to win for sure. It's kind of not a really good way to get a win, but we'll take it. We need it in the points. I think should put me pretty close to the top now. We'll just have to see, but it's nice being on a hot streak right now.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, yeah, you mentioned it. That it sucks that you take a win like that, especially from Austin, who did all that he did throughout the whole race, winning stage 1 and 2. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Believe this was your first win of the season.
Yeah, I think I've been close. I don't think I've won one in trucks. I, I don't keep up with that stuff very well.
Well, shoot, congratulations again, man. Yeah, that sucks again with Austin, but I guess you take a win any way you can, huh?
Yeah, he'll be back. He's fast. He'll be back. He just needs some good luck.
And Dustin, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good, man, good. That what battling from you throughout, I mean, pretty much the whole race for you to get back up to P3. Man, how did you do that?
Well, I'll be honest. I just tried to save myself all race. I don't really care for Darlington that much, and I had done decided that I was just gonna, run the fuel out to the end, and see what happens. And it was funny. I was getting ready to pit that lap when the caution came out, so it just kind of happened to fall and helped me gain a couple spots there.
And as we are watching it now, that last lap pass on the 999 Corey Sibley, man, what was that like from inside the truck?
Pretty intense. I was trying to. I hadn't gotten anybody all race, and I was like, I'm gonna come out of Darlington with no X's tonight, 0X race.
Is that
So
what
I
you
was like,
did?
well, yeah, I did. I came out with the 0X tonight, and so
Man.
I was like, I'm gonna just kind of take it easy. And he got in the wall coming off the floor, coming to the white flag, and so I was able to get under him and get a good run. I'm sure he was probably expecting me to send him into 3 and 4, but I didn't want to do it like that. So. But I mean, look, overall, I think it was a great race tonight. It was there's strategy involved. The tires, you had to really manage them, and the people who managed them, they were here at the end, and the ones who didn't, you could really tell because they fell off a lot.
Man, the lady in black, the track too tough to tame. Donald, you did it. William come in P2, and yeah, Dustin, congrats on your P3. And man, 0X here is also that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, that's like I said, that's all I wanted to go. I was like, you know what, I want to get out of here with no X, and I did it. So, hooray for me. So, just real quick, hey, shout out to CircleBDiecast.com, my sponsor. Use my code TBR20 and get those last minute Christmas gifts here and get them shipped before Christmas Day. So, I know we don't race next week, so I just want to go ahead and tell everybody Merry Christmas.
I appreciate that, Dustin. Good call. Yeah, be sure to check out Circle B Diecast. Use Dustin's code, and appreciate everybody coming out tonight, racing, joining us in the YouTube chat. Zabi, you got anything for our drivers before we sign on out of here?
Not much. I mean, it's just nothing but appreciation. I mean, Donald, we saw you in the previous one of the truck races. I remember you winning the first 2 stages and then getting involved and not getting that race victory. So I'm sure you know how it feels to lose it out in the hands of Austin out there.
Yeah, I was real close last week, and couldn't quite pull it out. But I was doing the same thing as Dustin was doing. I was saving in the first half of the run, and the second half of the run, I would really push, and I was able to. The leaders would get out ahead of me a second and a half or so, and I was able to close it back up. So I had the pace with the fastest guys, but when they're just as fast as you can't pass here. So getting a win is not good, like I said, that way, but good fortune for me and bad for Austin.
Interesting. I mean, once again, congratulations. And the driver finishing in P2, William, we've got him as well. So, William, we saw you get closer to Donald for a few times, but it just wasn't enough. You couldn't get through.
Yeah, man, he was strong. He was on a different planet than me. I struggled a lot of the race, trying to find a balance and whatnot, and I was able to do a little bit of strategy when it came to fuel and stuff like that, and we had some cautions that kind of helped out with that. But yeah, man, I enjoyed the race. I think I finished behind Donald a couple times, so maybe not in the trucks. But Donald, you racing the Xfinity, right?
No, I raced last night. That's the only race I've done in Xfinity this season.
Yeah, you're tough, man. But yeah, I couldn't get to him. I raced it really too hard to try to catch him, and burned my stuff up. So I was just trying to hang on to P2 after that.
Amazing. I mean, congratulations, everybody inside the top 3. And John, we're just going to end it now and get it going.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out. The Racing Network's got BMRL and also Stam Studio Network bringing you this eSports Truck Series live from Darlington. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight, and got an off week next week, so happy holidays, but we'll be back. Join us in that new year for some great, clean truck racing, BMRL. Appreciate Chris for having me on board. Sabby again, coming up on the booth, and congratulations again to Donald on the win.